Vivian Dabre is a senior data science leader with extensive experience in generative AI, AI product strategy, and machine learning. With a strong technical foundation and proven leadership, he delivers end-to-end AI solutions that drive business transformation across industries, including construction, mining, utilities, and the public sector, including work with the Commonwealth Scientific and Industrial Research Organization and government organizations.
Hello everyone, I'm Vivian Dabre. I'm currently working at right. In general, when you think about AI in particular, it's more about like imagining robots or chatbots or complex algorithms, right? But in general, AI is more simpler than that. It's just a way for computers to learn from past data, historical data, and make better decisions. Across industry, it can be used in climate, agriculture, constructions, and transport to energy, right? So AI is becoming quite a useful and powerful tool or techniques to solve the problem that we are facing in current challenges and current industry. Without further delay, I'll talk about how AI can help communities thrive. So moving on to the next part here, a bit about my background and my information. I have my master's in data science from Deakin University in Australia, and I have an experience and specializations in generative AI or broader AI and data-driven product strategy. I have also exposure and experience in background in delivering practical and scalable AI initiative across different organizations, public sector, construction, infrastructure, and consulting as well. And I'm really passionate about using AI for meaningful social and environmental impact. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn using this QR code. Moving on to the next slide. Why sustainability needs innovation, right? So we are talking about sustainability, and today's world, it means a lot more than recycling and reducing emissions, right? It's about designing solutions or systems that last longer. So they need to be a kind of a robust solutions. But our world has become more complex today, right? So if we are talking about like waste, resources shortage, climate change, population growth, all these problems are very deeply connected with sustainability. And we also know that, and it's tried that traditional methods can't keep up with this problems in today's world. So we need some tools that are very advanced and robust that can see patterns that we can't, a human can't, for example, and they can help predict and also optimize decisions in real time. So that's where AI and data comes into picture, right? So what AI actually does, right? So AI helps in kind of measures what's actually happening in the world. For example, using historical data, it can be try to kind of identify what exactly is happening, right? It can then use that insights to kind of predict the next move. So what might happen next, such as let's say equipment failure, if you're talking about predictive maintenance, or like predicting extreme weathers or events, right? And it can also learn from that predictiveness and use it for optimization. So when we talk about optimization, it's like finding smarter routes or smarter ways to kind of save energy, reduce waste, or also improve safety in general. So the key message here is that sustainability should not be just no longer be kind of reduce it about reducing harm, right? So it's about using intelligence to create a positive impact. So moving on to the next part. So what's the actual role of AI or artificial intelligence in sustainable development? So AI is like a connector that I mentioned about in the previous slide, right? So it can help in predicting or optimizing or even measuring from the past data or historical data, right? So it helps in turning like raw data into insights. So insights that we can leave, build, and grow more sustainably, for example. So in energy, these are some of the examples here. So energy optimization, waste management, agriculture and public health. These are some examples where AI can be used in sustainable development. So if you're talking about, let's say, energy optimization, smart system can be developed now that can be used for adjusting automatic heating and lighting to save energy or power, right? Whereas the other example would be like a waste management. So a kind of AI sensors fitted into the bins to kind of predict the fill levels. And it also kind of can be used to kind of optimize collection routes. That's a route optimization. It can be used in agriculture, and there are vast examples or research that are currently conducted in terms of like how AI or information or data can be used in terms of AI. Like it can be for predicting crop yields. It can be to understand soils and what kind of soil is relevant for certain crop yields and all those of information. So just whenever there is a data, AI can come into picture, right? So it's all about industries or application where there is data, AI can be tapped onto. Moving on to the next one. So AI in construction, right? So I wanted to kind of emphasize on construction industry because construction is a kind of a complex industry. It's a kind of a heavy industry, and there was a study conducted where by like United Nations environmental program. It says that 40% of global CO2 emissions by construction industry, right? But we also know that construction industry is something that lies with bigger opportunities with AI and data, right? So some of the example will be like how can we use AI in transforming how we build more like smarter or greener communities, right? So it can be used in predictive and analytics, right? So it can be used to kind of forecast material demands or even resource forecast resources, right? So that we don't overorder or we don't call more resources and avoid wastage of resources. So if there is data, this can be possible, right? It can also be used in terms of like automated safety and inspections, planning in that case to kind of avoid human error and rework as well because of the human error. Some of the other example will be to kind of AI assisted planning, for example. So, right, it can be used to kind of understand the capability or capacity of the machineries and use it to ideal state so that you are kind of restricting the fuel consumptions and scheduling using intelligence, right? So there are a lot of endless application in construction industry itself where AI can be used to kind of help in bigger sustainable matters. Now, moving on to one of the examples, like if we have spoken about, like, for example, what are the applications, but in terms of actual technology. So I wanted to kind of talk about one of the most interesting tool that's here. It's called digital twins. So digital twins is actually kind of a digital replica of real world. So talking about, let's say, smarter cities or town planning, for example, or even traffic signals talking about. So if you want to kind of play with scenarios like what will happen if this traffic signal will fail, for example, you can't just really try it or run that scenario in physical world, right? But digital twin allows to kind of make that possible in terms of having the real-time data into a digital system, and then that helps to kind of consider what if scenarios or different scenarios. So that helps in like proper planning and using intelligence. So this is more about like connect data from sensors, IoT devices, and AI models, helping to kind of planners to see what if scenarios, as I mentioned, for data-driven sustainability decisions and designs. So this is one of the good example how AI or intelligence is used in like to get a bridge between data and sustainability. Moving on to the next part is we talked about general application in different industry, more focused on construction, but there's also bigger scope in climate itself. So based on the current problems or current like challenges that we are facing in today's world in terms of climate change and all of this. There's a desperate need to kind of for an AI solutions or like an intelligence to prepare, predict, and respond, right? So, for example, AI models can use to kind of simulate, as I mentioned, climate patterns or kind of run scenarios in like if this is kind of a bushfire or floods or let's say climate change, what will be the impact of it? And based on that impact, what are the necessary measures that will be taken into consideration? So it can be used for climate modeling, it can be used for renewable energy, right? So it can be used for predicting solar and wind generation to optimize energy grid. But the main important part of it is to kind of planning disaster response. For example, so how can AI be used to kind of plan if there is a event of bushfires or floods? How do we evacuate, or what is the disaster response for that? So AI can be used in all of these applications, right? And there was a study conducted, a research conducted by Google's DeepMind. So it's a kind of a machine learning team within Google that conducted a research, and they were able to kind of reduce the energy used for data centers. So data centers are typically an infrastructure based where heavy AI models are run through. So we can use Google, for example, Google search and all of this. So there are data centers behind where there are complex infrastructures and compute power that's required to kind of bring up this solutions, right? So with the help of AI and machine learning algorithm, they were able to kind of reduce 40% of their energy saving. And now even bigger companies like Google, Amazon, all of these are moving towards like renewable resource for their data centers, right? So these are some of the examples where AI can come into picture, and it helps into kind of overall solving the environmental impact, right? Moving on to the next one. So we saw the applications in different industry. One of the industry where it's heavily used is also into smarter transport and logistics, because as per the study, there are 25% of global emission is contributed by transportation alone, whether it's like by air or sea or road, right? So AI can drastically reduce transportation emissions. So as I mentioned, like AI is smart enough to kind of understand routes, better planning. So that can help into kind of optimize routes. So let's say trucks and delivery vehicles travel fewer kilometers and use less fuel, right? So it can predict when a vehicle need maintenance. So that's a bigger part that companies and organizations are currently using AI for, to kind of do predictive maintenance. So instead of kind of getting parts or maintenance, it could AI could correctly picked up like, okay, within this 20 days there will be a maintenance required, or the machine can be turned off, for example, right? So this is some of the applications where AI comes into picture. So it's also in cities like AI control traffic lights. It helps in reducing congestions, for example. It helps in kind of um, helping people to kind of save fuel, and that helps in towards overall emission reductions, right? And there was one of the example done by UPS where they used one of the machine learning model called Orion. They were trying it. The model was built from 20, like 2000s, and they were kind of improving it. And lately, they were able to save around 10 million gallons of fuel based on their route optimization and proper planning kind of thing. So that's an interesting real world use case where AI is making a bigger impact in terms of reducing emissions and sustainability. We briefly talked about like AI can be used across different industries, and this is more about high level, like, okay, health. If you're talking about healthcare, AI helps in outbreaks, reducing waste, and improving access to care. For example, retail. If you talk about like forecasting, right? So that's a very important part for the retail businesses where forecasting demand helps reduce overproduction and unsold inventory waste. So that helps towards sustainability overall. Manufacturing, for example, predictive maintenance. So if AI can help to kind of predict that the machine needs a maintenance, for example, or a repair, forefront, it could help into kind of reduce downtime and material wastage, for example. So there are endless like opportunities where AI can be used in different industries overall, right? So I have highlighted some of them here. And that's why I will call this as like data-driven sustainability. So as I mentioned, like wherever there is a data, it can be used intelligence on top of that data to create data-driven sustainability. So it's more about like when intelligence is driving the impact, right? So that's about it. And then so we've talked about like how AI can help into different organization, industries, and different applications, right? But while AI help us drive sustainability, we also need to think about AI itself, if AI itself is sustainable enough, right? So as I mentioned, like training AI models requires a lot of energy based on the data centers that we talked about, right? So data centers can be kind of that's a major challenge, and bigger organizations like Google or Amazon are trying to kind of move towards renewables energy, right? So and to reduce the like emissions, overall emissions. So that's the biggest challenge that we have in front of us right now. And the solution towards that, which the organizations are actively working towards, is to kind of using green AI, or the concept like how can we make these organization algorithms more optimized or efficient or energy aware, right? So consume less energy, and emit less emissions, for example, right? And it can be built with clean infrastructure in general. So it's also about ethics, right? Many making sure that AI systems are transparent, they are not biased, they're fair, and they're inclusive. So that's a solution for the challenge that we face in terms of like using this heavy compute intensive AI models, right? And the last is like the commitment, right? So we can't call this technology sustainable if it doesn't serve our people, planet, or communities fairly, right? So we want to ensure that transparency, fairness, and accessibility is across all AI systems. And through sustainability includes the environmental, the economy, and society. So responsible AI must support all three of this. So what's the road ahead? So if we think about AI or using data or intelligence in general, like what's the road ahead of us, right? From here, sustainability is just about smarter, not just about smarter tech, for example. It's about partnership. As I mentioned, AI can help smarter cities that like plan with real-time data. It can help supply chains, for example. It can help us to create resilient or regenerative infrastructure to adapt climate change. It can help communities, right? But we as a people, as a community, also needs to kind of go hand in hand with AI. So AI gives us the intelligence to change, but sustainability gives us the reason to, right? So if we combine this two, AI and sustainability, like the technology and the purpose, we can create communities that truly thrive. So that's it from my side. Thank you.